something unusual happened in court. For a long stretch, Judge Ratha had been relatively restrained while the defense led evidence, but the moment Advocate Nxumalo zeroed in on the occurrence book, the judge stepped in, and courtroom watchers immediately took notice. Let's take a listen to the drama.
Mr. Ntanzi, you also listened to the evidence before this court. Is it correct that there is no way in the OB registers, especially the OB register of the 19th of June 2020, where it indicates that we were booked out by Sergeant Mokhane for a confession statement or any investigations regarding Fostora's case 636 of 10/2014?
Ntanzi ubulaleleke ubufakazi phambi kwayo lenkantolo ingabe futhi ke uma kufundwa ke la kwincwadi ke zakhona ke ema police station akukho la uzwe khona ke ukuthi ke inkathi ukhishwa ke 19 ka June 2020 uyena uSergeant Mokhane ukuthi akukho la kubhalwe khona ukuthi wawukhishelwa uphenyo kulona ke icala leli u636 10/2014 lase Fostoras.
That is on the 19th of June 2020.
Ke 19 ka June 2020.
Yebo ngiyazonga vela lapho mayibhala zange ngizibone.
Yes, I hear it, but even when he wrote, I did not see it.
Naye wayengangitshela ukuthi siyakuphi uma ngikhiphe emaseleni.
He also didn't tell me when he booked me out of the cells as to where we were going.
For instance, on the 19th of June 2020, which was a Friday, at entry 520, investigation out, Detective Sergeant Mokhane of National Court Case Unit booked out one male suspect of murder on the Nongoma case 163 of 6, 2018, one Bongani Ntanzi, SAPS 14/64/6/20, SAPS 14A S1266765, booked out without any complaints or injuries.
Okubhaliwe ke lapha ukuthi mawukhishwa nge-19 ka June 2020 icala libhaliwe lapha la kwaNongoma.
Yebo ngiyazi kodwa nginacala kwaNongoma.
Yes, I hear, but I don't have a matter in kwaNongoma.
At entry 531 at 2:30 p.m.
Sorry, just from my understanding, are you saying that if I take me as a police investigating officer, I take out a person on investigation for a case in Nongoma, and then I get information that this very person is wanted for the murder of Senzo, I can't interview him. I must go back to the police station and go and write, whilst I was out, I took so-and-so said to me, ABC. Are you saying that should happen?
My lord, the suspicion regarding the murder of SenzoMeyiwa did not arise on the 19th.
No. But you're not listening to my question.
At least there must be supporting...
Because this gentleman says he was booked out. He doesn't know whether it was written down or not. But he was booked out. He wasn't taken out of the police station. Let me actually make it ridiculous. He slept in the police station, Pretoria, Valeria, whatever.
Yes.
He was booked out of that police station.
Yes. He was
And by a recognized police person.
Yes.
Right. And he says it also.
Yes.
Fine, you can say it was never notarized, fine.
Yes, but my lot of questioning is
Is
regards
what?
to the OB register. He's booked out in respect
No,
of...
fine, the OB register, fine. Let's for a moment agree that you're saying he was just booked out without notarizing that he's being booked out. But the point is, he was taken out by a Mamuhola or whatever, a police person.
Yes.
He didn't just get out of the police station.
Yes.
Yes. Am I right?
No, you are right.
That's it.
Yes.
Now I'm saying to you, when he's booking you out on investigation of another case, and he gets information of another case, and he contacts, for instance, that's the evidence, and I'm not saying it's true, he contacts Gininda during that period, and Gininda comes. All that is not supposed to happen. If it ever happened, I'm not saying it happened.
But
Because the evidence I listened to is that at that time, Ginila was he was phoned or whatever, he was contacted, and he came to a particular place. And when he came to that particular place, he conducted an interview with this gentleman, and I'm not saying it is true that he conducted an interview. And he said he gave him his rights, and I'm not saying it's true that he actually gave you rights. Mokola also says he gave him his rights, and I'm not saying it's true. That's the evidence I listened to.
That was on the 18th.
Yeah, fine. And then, as a result of that evidence, which I'm not saying is true,
Yes. Yes.
arrangements were made with Rapadu and a confession was taken.
Yes. Then
Otherwise, we're going to be here until Mandela rises from the grave.
surely not.
Oh,
But then I'm saying, my lord, for that reason, what transpired on the 18th is not booked out for that reason on the
No,
19th.
fine.
It's booked out for the Nongoma case.
That's the point. And if it's booked out for the Nongoma case, you can't investigate any other case.
No, it is well known on the 18th
Okay, fine.
that he wants
Right,
to appear,
okay, fine.
that is going to appear before a magistrate.
Yeah.
So on the 19th, why is it not booked out for that purpose on the 19th? That is
You know
where
the evidence of these guys, and I'm not saying it's true, so
Yes.
that you must misunderstand me. They were saying they are members of the cold storage team, and they were investigating several cases. That's why, for instance, somebody was arrested for drugs, somebody was arrested for a firearm and bullets and what have you. They were not just busy with one case.
I understand, my lord, but what my submission
Yeah,
is,
fine.
on the 18th,
Yeah.
when the accused, Mr. Ntanzi, meets Gininda, he says, look, I'm going to arrange for you to appear before a certain peace officer. Then I'm saying, on the 19th, the purpose of that, of him being put out on the 19th, is not documented in the OP.
No, fine, I
Instead,
agree with
it's something
you.
else.
I agree with you. All I'm saying is, now that you are not documented to go out for this particular case, if the Chief Justice, not the Chief Justice, if the Commissioner of Police says, hey, do you have Ratha there? I just have information that Ratha was involved in the murder of Ms. Mshololo. So you can't talk to Ms. Mshololo. Is that what you're saying? Fine. If you're saying that, fine. Okay, fine. Let's go
I'm not
on.
saying that. On the 19th of June 2020, which was a Friday, my lord, I'm going to go through this because
Yeah,
it is,
fine,
it is
you can
very
go through
important to place these issues on record. On the 19th of June 2020, which was a Friday, at entry 531 at 2:30 in the afternoon, investigation back, Detective Sergeant Mokhane of National Court Cases Unit booked back one male suspect of murder on Nongoma case 163/06/2018. One Bongani Ntanzi, SAPS 14/64/06/20, SAPS 14A, S1266765, booked back without any complaints or injuries, correctly handed. Then there's a signature of Sergeant Mokhane.
Laphana ke kubhalwe ukuthi ke ngazo i19 lezo ke 2:30 isikhathi wakubuyisela ke uSergeant Mokhane kumasebe.
We have said that we were never charged and arrested for the Nongoma case. On the 19th of June 2020, was there any investigation that was done in respect of the Nongoma case?
Ushilo wathi awukaze uthweswe icala noma ke uchargwe ke ngalo icala lakwaNongoma. Kodwa ke ingabe nge19 zika June 2020 khona yini uphenyo olwenziwa kwenziwa uphenyo ngalo icala leya lakwaNongoma?
Mina ngisekadala lokho kuphenya kwenziwayo ngicela kwami.
To me, my lord, there was no investigation conducted on the Nongoma matter.
No, fine. I agree with what you're saying. But you, as an officer of this court, we heard that this matter of Nongoma was supposed to be put on the Yes, the prosecutor refused. That's the evidence, and it was never denied. That the Nongoma case was supposed to be put on the roll for transmission of the gentleman here to Nongoma. But the prosecutor refused or declined. And as a result of that, it was not put on the... That's the evidence. Otherwise,
I understand. I understand that very well.
You don't.
My Lord, is
because you're not mentioning that. You said there was no investigation.
in respect of that case, is booked out and back in respect of the Nongoma case.
Yes, because the prosecutor refused to put it on the roll for transmission to Nongoma. That's the evidence.
It is not booked.
If you guys had denied it or put it to the Mamfundis or whoever it is, that never happened. Fine. But you guys never denied it. Even the late Mr. Ngumezulu came with the theory that this gentleman was arrested unlawfully by citing a case which supposed to have happened in Nongoma. You said that.
Again, my Lord, on the 19th of June 2020 is not booked out for appearing in
yes,
court.
Fine, no
for
problem.
Appearing in
no
court.
Problem.
Is appearing for investigation in respect of the Nongoma case.
Yes, fine.
So I'm asking him if was there an investigation that was done in respect of the Nongoma case, because he's booked out and back on the same day. I want to ascertain from him if there is an investigation that was done.
I'm just saying that's the sequence of the evidence I listened to. Even Gininda himself said that when it was put to him by Ngomezulu, that you are taking this guy unlawfully and masquerading as if you are conducting a case or investigating a case of Nongoma. Gininda, if I recall, said that we are investigating several cases. When it was being put to him that, why did you not release this gentleman after the prosecutor at Boksburg refused to place the matter on the roll? You remember that? I don't know if you remember. Anyway, go on.
Something shifted in that courtroom, and the moment you replay it carefully, the tension is impossible to miss. For a very long stretch, Judge Ratha had remained notably quiet while the defense was leading evidence. But the instant Advocate Nxumalo, the man many observers have nicknamed the silent assassin, locked onto the occurrence book, the calm in that courtroom cracked. Because Nxumalo did not come to play theory, he went straight for the paper trail. The record discussed in court showed Ntanzi was booked out on 19th June 2020 for a Nongoma matter. But according to what was ventilated before the court, Ntanzi was never interviewed on that Nongoma case. Instead, he was told he was being charged in the SenzoMeyiwa murder matter. Now stop right there. In any serious criminal trial, that sequence alone is enough to make experienced trial watchers sit forward. Because once the paperwork starts looking uneven, defense lawyers smell blood in the water. And Nxumalo pressed exactly there. But then Judge Ratha stepped in firmly and posed the pointed challenge. Are you suggesting police cannot book a suspect on one case and interview that person on another? On the surface, that sounds like a strong pushback. And to be fair, in general policing practice, investigators can pursue multiple lines of inquiry. That principle itself But here is where the courtroom temperature really changed. Nxumalo was clearly not arguing about what police can do in theory. He was drilling into something far more uncomfortable. Whether the occurrence book in this specific matter tells a clean, transparent story. And Nxumalo did not retreat an inch. He stood his ground and drove the question that still hangs in the air. If Ntanzi ultimately faced the SenzoMeyiwa charges, why does the occurrence book not clearly map that journey? That is not a casual question. That is forensic pressure. Then came the moment that truly set legal circles buzzing. The reference to the so-called cold storage unit handling many cases. Let's speak plainly. That terminology is not widely recognized as a formal SAPS structural term in publicly known policing frameworks. And whenever unfamiliar language enters a high-stakes evidentiary discussion, seasoned courtroom watchers do exactly what many did in that moment. They start asking harder questions. Because in trials of this magnitude, precision is everything. Vagueness is where doubt lives. The court further pointed to the fact that the Nongoma matter was not enrolled by the prosecution, suggesting that this explains why Ntanzi was not transferred. That may ultimately form part of the court's reasoning. But here is the reality Nxumalo forced onto the table. The documentation question did not simply evaporate. The pressure remained exactly where defense lawyers want it, on the integrity of the paper trail. And that is why this exchange matters far beyond the few minutes it occupied in court. Not because anyone raised their voice, not because the judge intervened, but because a very specific evidentiary pressure point was exposed in open court. And it has not stopped people talking. So now the question goes to you. Did that exchange fully settle the occurrence book concern? Or did Nxumalo open a line of doubt the court will eventually have to confront directly? Drop your view in the comments. If you want fearless, evidence-driven courtroom analysis, make sure you like the video, subscribe for the next breakdown, and keep this conversation alive. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Skybriedge. Goodbye.